When my daughter was born, I was certain that I would breastfeed. The American Academy of Pediatrics recommends exclusive breastfeeding for the first 6 months of an infant's life and the continuation of breastfeeding along with solid foods for 1 year and even beyond. I often wonder why many other Black mothers and young mothers opted not to breastfeed and what could be done to better aid women in meeting their breastfeeding goals. Before I go any further, this is a story about breastfeeding and there will be pictures of breasts with infants attached to them, but it's okay, it's completely normal. Breast milk provides the optimal and most complete source of nutrition for the first 6 months of an infant's life. I mean, it's like liquid gold. And there is the obvious benefit, breastfeeding is free. But the numerous benefits of breastfeeding for mothers and babies have been extensively researched. The benefits extend beyond mother and baby, and breastfeeding also positively impacts our society. For example, it is estimated that if 90% of mothers complied with the recommendation to breastfeed exclusively for 6 months, there would be a savings of $13 billion per year in healthcare costs. African Americans are disproportionately affected by many of the health outcomes that breastfeeding protects against. But despite the myriad of benefits, breastfeeding rates remain relatively low among Black women, especially young Black women and women of low socioeconomic status. Younger women and those of low socioeconomic status are also more likely to stop breastfeeding at 4 weeks postpartum. A woman's decision to breastfeed is influenced by factors at the individual and ecological level. Among African American women, support, especially from their partner, the maternal grandmother, friends, and community, is critical in determining if a woman will successfully breastfeed. Cultural and societal norms also influence breastfeeding. The sexual objectification of the female body, for example, results in a one-dimensional view of the woman's body, an idea reinforced when images of public breastfeeding are reproved, while sexual images of a woman's body are celebrated. Some cultural beliefs influencing breastfeeding are rooted in history, such as the historic representation of Black women as hypersexual, which further shapes a distorted view of the female body. Researchers also suggest that the forced use of wet nurses contributed to a generational legacy of disapproval of breastfeeding. Generations of African American women lack role models of other breastfeeding women, which limits exposure and the confidence of new mothers in their ability to breastfeed. Negative views about breastfeeding also lead to the reluctance to breastfeed in public. Women who do breastfeed in public in low-income inner-city neighborhoods most often report being criticized by young men, further supporting the notion that breastfeeding is unnatural and something that should be done in private. Strengthening the social support networks of breastfeeding women is one effective mechanism for improving rates and also can work to normalize breastfeeding among African Americans. Positive images of breastfeeding Black women through social marketing can also be used to promote breastfeeding and influence necessary shifts in cultural beliefs. The use of social media provides a novel channel for reaching, generating awareness, and providing support for African American mothers. Ultimately, increasing breastfeeding among young African American women will require a socio-ecological approach, but improvements can potentially decrease health disparities experienced by African American women and their children.